Everyone able to see my screen, right? Now let me open the PDF. So today I will share you the document to everyone so that you can go through it. I will just take 5 minutes to summarize. So if you want to learn Spring Framework, we have to we must know these four concepts: tightly coupled, loosely coupled, dependency injection, application context. So all four concepts we have covered with examples. Right, one simple program I have written to disclose all the concepts. Now, if you are able to understand these concepts, going forward, remaining all the concepts, you can understand very easily. So, if you know these four concepts, remaining concepts, you can understand very easily. Okay. So here, so today we are guys, some people are asking doubts, right? So end of the class, I will clarify your doubts. Today I am going to explain you Spring Boot application. We are going to create one simple Spring Boot application like a Hello World kind of application. So from there, we can start all our rest of the concepts. So now go to the browser. So if you want to create the Spring Boot application, where we can create Spring Initializer. Spring Initializer. Click on Spring Initializer and then select Maven build. After that, so as is latest version 3.1.4 and project group ID, I am going to give com dot uh, example to result dot Spring Boot. Project name I will give Hello World Spring Boot. So after that, so if you want to create a Hello World Spring Boot, then you have to create a simple REST API. So we need a dependency. You just need to add that. You just need to add dependency like a web module. So Spring Web is the one of the dependency to create RESTful web services as well as web applications. And Spring Web dependency will come up with embedded Tomcat server. So generally, before Spring Boot application, if you want to run your application in on server, so we have to download the server manually. Then we have to build the war file, and then we have to deploy that war file into the Tomcat server. So that we have to do manually. So whereas in Spring Boot application, we no need to install any server. We no need to deploy application manually. We no need, no, not at all. No need to deploy. So this will taken care by Spring Boot itself. I am going to show you how it is. So Spring Web, select the Spring Web module. So if for initial project, so we just need a Spring Web dependency is enough. Okay, so now I have selected the JDK version 17 because Spring Boot 3.0 onwards, JDK 17 it will support, or JDK 21. If you see 2 to 3 days back here, you might have seen version 20. Now you can see JDK version 21 also. So day to date, Spring Core team is updating Spring Initializer. You can see here. Now I can see another change. Java 21 version support. So some people might ask some questions. Sir, every day each new version is releasing. Do we need to really learn those things? Yes, we have to learn in the sense you no need to bother about it. All the uh, 21 features and the 21 JDK 21 features. So if you have basic JDK 8, JDK 8 is the major version for current market actually. JDK 8 is the major version currently running in the market. So if you know JDK 8 features, so you are ready to select any JDK 17 or JDK 21. Depends on your interest. You can learn all the features which are they are released in JDK 21. Okay. So I am going with the JDK 17. Click on generate button. So copied, downloaded jar is copied. Now I just want to keep it in one of the folder, Spring applications. So here we are creating right all the applications. Just create. Just right click on the zip file and extract it here. Any folder you can extract, not only C drive. I have only C drive, so I am extracting it here. You can keep any of the folder and you can extract the file. Not extracting. It's going on, I think. Yeah, it's extracted. Now I'm just copy the path of application. Go to, let me close all the classes. Go to file. You can see new or you can see here import option. Click on import and type Maven. It's already visible. So type Maven. You can select existing Maven project. Click on existing Maven project and copy the directory which you have copied. Now click on finish button. For the time being, this project I'm just closing it because we are not working as of now, right? Close the project. So later you can open that if you want to refer like that. So now we are going to work with latest application. So here, so now I'm going to explain you pom.xml. Pom.xml. So each and every project, when you select the Maven build, you can see pom.xml file. So here we have dependencies, all the dependencies which is required for our project. Okay. So all the dependencies which are required for the project, we have to add it here. So now you no need to do anything. So I have auto generated the project, right? We have created from the Spring Initializer. So by default, it will come up with two dependencies. Spring Boot Starter Web, Spring Boot Starter Test. So this is for writing the JUnit test cases, and this is for to start our Spring Boot application. So Spring Boot hyphen starter web will have all the dependencies. If you select, you can see you can go inside. If you go inside, you can find number of dependencies. Spring Boot starter validation, starter web. So which are all the whatever operations if you want to perform with the JD Spring ORM, if you want to perform with the Spring JDBC. So all the basic core, all the jars will be by default it is added in our project. So some people may have doubt. So where these jars are available? So these jars are available in there is a folder called, you can see left hand side, Maven dependencies. Maven dependencies. So here you can see all the jars are will not be there. Uh, Hard copies, hard copy in the sense these jar files will not be stored in our project. So those jars will be available in Maven repository. You can see the path. C users Rasul Sheikh .m2 folder. You can see .m2 folder inside the repository. All the jars is being stored in our local machine. And just we are referring the path. This project is referring those jar file path. That's it. So your project will be lightweight. Actually, before Maven project, we used to create ant projects actually. So we have to copy all the jars manually in our application. So what will happen? So application weight will become more. So it has 1 GB, 2 GB, like that because of the jar files. To overcome that problem, Maven came into picture. Whenever you pump.xml, if you add any dependency like dependency, so it will download the jar automatically for us. It will download the jar in your local machine. Where it is, just go to your directory. You can see here, everybody will have in C drive, right? There is a user folder. Each and every computer will have users folder. Inside the user folder there is a computer name. For example, my computer name is Rasul Sheikh. So similarly, each and everyone will have your unique computer name, right? Inside that, go inside that, there is a folder generated. The folder name is called .m2 folder. Inside the m2 folder you can see repository. Inside the repository, then you can see all the jars which are required for our application. So you can see org dot, you can see Spring Framework. You can go to Spring Framework inside again. If you see Spring Boot, Spring Security, Session, Spring AOP, Aspect, Beans, Spring Context, Spring Core. So last two classes we are discussed about Spring Core module, right? So this Spring Core module, all uh, required jars will be available here. You can see latest version. You can see the dot jar file is available. So these all the jars will be downloaded in your m2 folder. Inside the m2 folder, for example, what I will do, uh, to make you better understanding, I am going to remove the dependencies from here. If you see left hand side, there is number of jars are downloaded in our local machine. How it is downloaded? Because in palm.xml there is a two dependencies added. These two dependencies are added. Because of these two dependencies, these many dependent jars are downloaded automatically. So testing purpose, what I will do, I will just remove these dependencies from my palm.xml. Delete it. Just delete it. The moment you delete, you can see magic here. You can see Maven.dependencies. You can see all the jars, right? After deleting these dependencies, I am going to save the file. What happened now? You can see left hand side, there is no Maven directory is appeared here. It is removed completely. You do not have Maven jars. The moment I have deleted the dependencies, the jars also automatically removed from our project. If you go to our default Java application, right? Hello World Spring Boot application we have created, right? You can see Spring Boot application not defined. You can see Spring Boot application cannot be resolved to a type, and Spring application cannot resolve. You saw, right? Cannot be resolved because jars are not available. Why? I have deleted from the palm.xml. So now I will again bring it back. Just Control Z I have done. Just save the application. Again, save the palm.xml. Now, if you see here, again, all the jars are being added to our project. So this is how Maven projects are will work actually. So which is very, very awesome future. Before came into picture. Ant projects are very heavy weight. We used to copy all the jar files manually in our project. So it has again you have to download manually all the jars. You have to copy it. You have to paste it in your project in your project. It is extra burden for each and every developer. So to overcome that problem, Maven came into picture. Boss, you no need to bother about the all the dependent jar files. I will take care of it. So just you should what so how you how Palm will take care. So you just need to add the palm.xml in your project, and then inside that which are all the dependencies based on your requirement. For example, if you want to connect database related dependency we need to add. If you want to connect with jdbc dependent jar file we need to add. So dependency we need to add. Similarly, Spring Web MVC and Spring ORM, Spring AOP. So which are all the module if you want to work. So you have to add the dependencies here. So the moment you add the dependency, all the jars will be downloaded. Sir, now you can you have some people may not have doubts. Sir, when it is downloaded, when these jars are being downloaded, so I will tell you now what I will do. Testing purpose, let me delete again these two dependencies. I will delete here. So many interviewers they will ask, actually you have to learn these very basic concepts. Okay, I have deleted the dependencies. Now I don't have any jars. What I will do, go to Maven directory M2 folder. There is a M2 folder available, right? I just go there. So I am just I will delete entire M2 folder or Maven folder, anything. So repository is there. I am going to delete it. Control Shift delete. All the jars I have deleted now. So why it is not completely deleting? Because I already opened that project folder, right? It is referencing it. Let me refresh it. So let me close this Eclipse. Then only I can delete complete folder. Shift delete. So now this small access this is also not needed. Nothing is needed. Everything I have deleted now. So now I don't have any jars. What I will do, I will create again. I will open the Eclipse again. So initial time, now I don't have any jars in my machine. So what will happen now? Just launch the application, launch the IntelliJ. The moment you will open the Eclipse, the moment you open the Eclipse, you can see here in the bottom of the page, you can see in bottom of the page. So download will start. You can see now project, right click on the project. You can see run as update project Maven. There is an option called Maven. Right click on the project Maven, click on update project, click on update project, click on OK. So the moment you click on update project, you can see here bottom of the Eclipse, you can see all the jars are downloading now. You can see background what is happening. All the jars are being downloaded very first time. So whenever you are creating Spring Boot project or Maven project, whichever you are importing to Eclipse, if you don't have any jar files first time, so then it will download automatically. You can see download is completely successful. Download is completely successful. Now we can see, go to your M2 folder again. You can see repository folder is created, org. All the Spring Framework related jars, whichever needed, all the jars are being downloaded. Got it right? So this is how Maven will work. Some people will during the run times or this jar is not available, this class is not found. So that time what it happens? So you might have not added the dependency or control Z. So you might have not added a dependency. Oh, I have removed the dependencies. I have not saved it by mistake. I have not. Okay, now what I will do? I will just Go to existing project. I can have a copy of, right? Go to C drive. So jars are trying to download, but it's not down. Where is that? By default, I have removed actually. 1 second, by mistake, I have deleted. Let me go to directory, C drive. There is a Spring application, right? Spring underscore framework. C drive, Spring applications inside. So let me go to my first application, right? From here, I will copy paste. So you no need to bother about it. So you just need to copy paste manually. You no need to add this dependency. Just copy and paste it. So if you see here, still why it is not downloaded, you can see still you can see the errors because jars are downloaded, but there is an errors you can see in the class. There is an errors. Spring Boot application cannot be resolved because dependencies are not added. I just added the dependencies and I just saved the application. It will, you can see now again. So here in the progress bar, you can see folder is created, but jars are not downloaded. Now all the jars are downloading one by one. Very first time only it will happen. The moment you create first project, so very first time only all the jars is being downloaded. Later point of time, second time it will never download. Why? Because it's already downloaded. So very first time only jars will start downloading. You can see all the jars are downloading now. So this is very basic. Actually, you have to learn. You should have the knowledge. So you can. Some people will ask you in interview, what is Maven? What Maven will do? So what is the advantage of using Maven? They will ask actually. So what is the advantages? We no need to bother about jar files. We no need to download the jar files manually. We no need to copy paste to in our application. S- Maven framework will take care of automatically. Okay, so you can. Some people may have doubts, sir. From where these jars are downloading? From where these jars are downloading? You can go to Google. Just type Maven repo. This is open source. Actually, open source framework. You can see Maven repo. If you type Maven repo, you can see very first link Maven repo in the sense Maven repository. From here, this is the location from the server. All the jars are available here. If you want any later point of time, by mistake, if you delete any jar, you can search from here. So you can search here Spring Web. So I want Spring Web. Let me type Spring hyphen Web. Just I click enter. See, you can see Spring hyphen Web jar. Just click on that, and after clicking that you can come down, you can see different types of versions. All the versions are available here. What is the latest version? 6.0.12 Spring Web. Let me click on that. You can see here dependency. So from here also, if you remove by mistake, you can copy from here. From here you can copy and you can paste it in our application. So now, since we are working on Spring Boot, we no need to add Spring Web manually. It is available for us by default. Okay, got it right? So now everybody knows what is Maven. So what Maven will do for our project. Okay, now come to our project. So you know you got the project structure right. It has SRC main Java resources, test folder, and JRE, all the JDK related libraries, and all our Spring Boot related libraries will be stored inside this Maven dependencies. So now we are going to write. I will explain you later how Spring Boot is working internally. I will explain you later. So for the time being, I am going to create one Hello World Spring Boot application. So for that, we need a controller class, right? Let me write one controller class. For that, I'm creating a package called controller dot controller package I am creating. I will explain you what is controller. Okay, later I will explain you what is controller. I am creating the class. Now we are going to create a REST controller. We are going to create one Hello World Spring Boot application, right? In Spring Boot application, I am going to create one simple REST API. So now I will create Hello World controller, Hello World controller, REST controller. We are going to write Hello World. We are going to create REST API, right? That's the reason I am naming it as a Hello World REST controller. Click on finish. So now this is normal Java class. So if you want to make a simple Java class as a REST controller, what you have to do? We have to add at the rate REST controller annotation. Why it is not showing? Yeah, it's not updated properly. Maven project is not updated properly. Let me rebuild again. So what you have to do? Just go to right click on the project again. Just Maven. We have plug and play. We have done, right. What is that mean? So deleting and removing that time. So it is not snapshot or your project repository is not updated. Maven repository not updated properly. So just click on update. Now let me try. So dependency we added or not? Hello world. Let me check whether we have added dependency or not. Yeah, Spring Web dependency is missing. So that is the reason that annotation is not available. So now we need to add Spring Web dependency. So instead of adding manually, what I will do is let me go to again Maven repository, Control C web module. Just I just shown you, right. There is a Maven repository. Go there and copy and come here and paste it in your pom.xml. Just format it. Control S. If you save, the moment you add the dependency, you can see it is downloaded successfully. It is start downloading. It is start downloading. Now this version we no need to specify because the versioning and all who will take care? Spring Boot will take care. We no need to worry about it. All the versions, it will pick it up latest version. Okay. So now go to our Hello World controller. You can see REST controller. Now we are able to see, right, REST controller. Earlier, why we are not able to see? I have not added the dependency. Earlier I have added, but I have removed it. So removed it. Now I have again added into the form.xml. So the moment I added the dependency in pom.xml, so Spring Web module is downloaded automatically, and all the required annotations is available now. REST controller. That's it. So we no need to add manually. To make you understand, I have deleted it. Okay. So now at the rate REST controller. Now this class is become as a REST controller. Let me write one simple function. Public uh, string say hello Spring application. Hello Spring Boot. Okay. So now what this function will return? It will return string. So hello world. Hello Spring Boot application save. So I will explain you guys, don't worry. So I will explain you how Spring Boot will work, and how API we have to consume, and what is web service, everything I will explain you. Let me create a Spring Boot Hello World application, then I will explain you each and every concept so that you can understand very easily. So now I will just create one simple API name, get mapping. Here I will give hello world. That's it. Now my Hello World application, our Spring Boot Hello World application is ready now. Let me run. How we can run? Go to your which class. So whenever you are downloading the Spring Boot application starts from where it will start. It will start from main class, the class which is having at the rate Spring Boot application. From here, our execution will start. So now let me run as Java application. You can see in the console. So our Spring Boot application started successfully. So now still it is going on started. Hello Spring Boot. Now what we can do, I on it now go to browser local host colon 8080 slash click on enter. So our application is not started actually properly. Let me, I think it is corrupted. This application is corrupted. What we will do? Let me extract it again. So what will happen? This is actually Eclipse. Sometimes this Eclipse will have some issues. So it will not updating properly all the modules, all the projects. What I will do? Let me delete from here. Download it again. So we have created a Spring Web module. We have added 3.1 version. We have already. It has. So let me. I think it's already downloaded in downloads folder. Let me go to downloads folder. Let me delete again to make you understand again. Let me delete. I have deleted all to make you to avoid confusion. So let me click on generate button. Open the zip file. Take that zip file. Go to C drive. I am copying in all Spring applications, right? Let me delete this corrupted one. Paste it here. Extract here. Allow Spring Boot. So now let me copy project file. Then click on import button. Select existing Maven project. Then click enter. Click finish button. So now, so IntelliJ will not have these kind of issues actually. So only Eclipse is having some problems whenever you are playing with pom.xml plug and play, when you are doing removing, deleting, remove, deleting. So all the different jars are not downloading properly and it's not updated. So it has a Eclipse problem. You don't need to bother about it. Now everything is ready now. Now we can just need to create package called controller package. Dot controller, then finish. Right click on the package, create the class hello world, WORL, hello world Spring Boot application, hello world Spring Boot. Okay, hello world Spring Boot application. Instead of this much big, hello world REST controller I will use. Now if you want to make your controller as your, this is normal Java class. If you want to make your class as a controller, REST controller, you just need to declare at the rate REST controller. That's it. So after that, let me write sample function string, say hello Spring Boot application. Click on enter. So what it will return? Empty string. Hello Spring Boot application. Now, so if you want to call the API, don't worry. As of now, I will explain you later what is get mapping and what is the URL and all. Once I will show you how Spring Boot will work, then we'll discuss about all those things. Hello world. Save the application. So now right click on the project, click on run as Java application. What happening? Later 1 second, guys. Click on that class. Still Intel is having some problem. So now you can see our server started successfully. Are you able to see, right? So you can see there is a class that is Eclipse issue, guys. Eclipse having some issue. You no need to bother. So there is a class Hello World Spring Boot application, right? Right click on it and just click on run button. So you can see now our class started successfully. So what is the port number? 8080 is the port number, and Tomcat started successfully. So now go to browser, click on give the URL localhost colon 8080. See, now our server is up successfully. So you can see white label error. So that means something I just hit the URL, local URL, something server is responding. So now what is the API we have created? Simple URL hello world. Just copy that hello world URL, go to the browser and then give that name. That's it. You can see hello Spring Boot application. So this is very simple. Creating Spring Boot application is very simple. Now our application is successfully displayed. Hello Spring Boot application. So before understanding what is API and all, I am going to explain you few concepts. Very basic concepts that you have to learn. I have many documents. I will share you these documents to you. Control C. So now click there and paste it. It's already there. Okay. So REST API. So before that, I want you to explain what is web service. Okay, what is web service? If you want to know what is web service, let me tell you one simple real world example. So the communication between client and server, the communication between client and server is called one web service. Okay, so let's say, for example, we'll take one generic example. Let's say my name is Rasul. Okay, so take another example. Another guy name is Suresh. So Rasul and Suresh both are available in same network. Let's assume Rasul and Suresh both are available in same network. So I am just asking Suresh, hi Suresh. I just asked him like I just say message like hi Suresh. I just calling him as a hi Suresh. So what Suresh will do? He will just reply message like hello Rasul. He replied like this. So what is the main concept is here? I just asked him to say hello. Say I just asked him to say hi. Suresh is replied back say hello. So the communication between two persons is called one web service actually. So I just asked him on request. He sent me a response back to say hello. So this is nothing but the communication between client and server. Let's say Rasul is one client and server is a Suresh. Suresh is belongs to server and Rasul is belongs to client. So why I'm taking this real time, while I'm telling in this way, you people can understand easily. So because some people may not aware what is client, what is server. So that is the reason I'm explaining in generic way. So let's assume Rasul is the client and Suresh is the server. So Rasul is requested to Suresh. So hello Suresh. So Sarvaj is responding back me, hello Rasul. So now that is called one communication between client and server. You can see here I am showing one generic example. Let's say left hand side you can see whether client can be Android phone, iPhone or desktop or Windows or web application. So for example from your iPhone you just clicked on IPL.com. The moment you clicked on IPL.com, what will happen? Request will go to the specific server. Let's assume here there is a REST API call, right? Web server, right hand side you can see web server. The moment click on IPL.com, request will go to the server. Then that specific server will return response back to the client. That is nothing but simple web service. The communication between client and server is nothing but one web service. So client, you can see here client, you can see right highlighting first from consumer and client. So client is nothing but whether it is a browser or whether it is iPhone. Let me show you one example. In our browser currently what I send the request, now browser is the client. Browser is the client. I just send request hello world localhost colon 8080 hello world. So what server is responded? Where is the server? Here. So there is a server which is running in here. So on port 8080. So when once I send the request, server is responding back hello Spring Boot application. So here who is the client? Here browser is the client. Who is the server? Here our Hello World Spring Boot application. Our Hello World Spring Boot application is running on Tomcat server. So this is our server. You can see Spring Boot application is our server and browser is our client. So the moment I send the request to the server and server is responding back to Hello World Spring Boot application. This is nothing but web service. So client can be any client can be whether it is Android phone, whether it is iPhone, whether from laptop or desktop or any web application. It can be any actually. So from anywhere you can send the request and server can send response back to the client. So here there is a technical term called client. So client, some people will ask interview, who is consumer? So some people, if you know the client, then he will answer. What is this consumer? What is this guys are? What is this guys is asking? I don't know what is consumer. So consumer is nothing but so the person who is sending the request from the client, he is called as a consumer. Some people may have aware of it. The person who is sending the request to the server, he is called as a consumer. Other hand, the right side there is a server, right? The server who is responding back to the client is nothing, he is called as a service provider. The person who is responding back to the client is called as a service provider. Now you understood, right? Who is consumer and who is provider, what is consumer and what is service provider. So client is a browser and server is a application, or who is the client when he's sending the request and the server he's sending response back to the client. You can call it as a whether client or server or consumer or service provider. So two technical terms here, client and consumer and server and server provider. So this is what a web service. You got right? What is web service? The communication between client and server is nothing but one web service. And one more thing, both client and server should be in network. Network in the sense For example, you have internet. So without internet, client is available, server is another place. So both are not available in the network. So they cannot connect together. So if your client and server want to connect, you must both should be there available in network. Then only client and server can connect it together. Got it right? So now you can see from here example you can take, let's say iPhone sending request to the server. You can see that is nothing but HTTP request. HTTP is a protocol to establish the connection between client and server. HTTP is a protocol to establish the connection between client and the server. We need a protocol called HTTP. HTTP nothing but hypertext transfer protocol. Okay, so the moment you can see here, I have in the browser, you can see by default, if I not enter right, it is HTTP call only, HTTP colon slash slash enter hello world application. If you open this, you can see here, you can see HTTP. If you copy the URL, go to Notepad plus plus, Control N, Control V, you can see URL is followed by HTTP. HTTP nothing but hypertext transfer protocol. What is the purpose of this HTTP? To establish the connection between client and server, we need a HTTP protocol. So the moment request sent from client, it is a HTTP request. The moment server response sending response back to the client is called HTTP response. Now you got right what is HTTP request, what is HTTP response. HTTP nothing but hypertext transfer protocol to establish the connection between client and server. And the moment client send the request, that is as a HTTP request. The moment server sending response back to the client, nothing but HTTP response. Now you are aware of it. What is HTTP? What is HTTP request and what is HTTP response? Now the moment we send the HTTP is having a set of rules. I am going to explain you now. I will share you this document. You can go through it. So now we are going to create a RESTful API, REST architecture, RESTful API. REST in the sense representational state transfer. Most of the people will ask interview, what is REST? REST nothing but representational state transfer. So representational nothing but it can be any such as XML or JSON. Let me tell you one real time example. Let's say I am Rasul, other side Suresh is there. I am calling, how I am calling? I am calling as a hello Suresh. In which language? English language. How I communicated to Suresh. Here just assume guys, Rasul is the client and Suresh is the server. So Rasul is asking Suresh like how I called him, hi Suresh. So how I pronounced with English language. Here what is representational format, in which format I have called him and which language I have called him, English language. So in which language he is sending response back, English language. That is called representational format, type of format. In real world I am explaining. So where if you come to technically, client and server can talk both together in based on whether it can be XML format, whether it can be JSON, whether it can be HTML. So let's say, let me show you one example. So here, go to previous example. iPhone is the right. He sent the request in which format, whether it can be JSON request, whether it can be he can send whether it is an XML format or he can send plain HTML or plain text. Anything he can text that is called as a representational message format. The data between the exchanging data between client and server nothing but date representational nothing but message exchange between client and server. Message exchange between client and server. It can be either JSON, it can be either XML, or it can be either text, it can be either HTML, JSP, anything. So now let me go to the document again. So representational stands for formats. What type of communication are doing between client and server. Next, state nothing but data. We can call it as a data. XML is one data, JSON is data. We can call it as a data. State nothing but data. And next, transfer means carrying data between consumer and provider. You can see here, transfer means carrying data between consumer and provider. So I just explained you, right? Consumer provider. You can see here the client send request to the server. Server sending response back to the client. Transforming data between client and server is nothing but transfer. Technically, we can call it as a transfer between client and server. So overall, what is REST stands for? Representational state transfer. So many people will tell, actually. Most of the people will tell what is REST? Representational state transfer. Okay, that is done. Okay, simply he will tell representational state transfer. So if you ask question, you can ask any your friends, any one of the friends. Seriously, guys, I'm telling seriously. You can ask any your friends, or any who is learning, or any who are developed also, who are working also. You ask some people representational state. If you ask him what is REST, representation state transfer, he will tell. So you can ask immediately what is representational, what is state, nothing but what is transfer, nothing but. Some people who is having knowledge, he only can answer. Some people representational, what is representational? REST means in REST architecture, representational state transfer. That's it. I don't know what is representational. So some people may not have knowledge, some people may have knowledge. So you should always learn the concept with in-depth representational state transfer. In the sense, representational means type of data format, state nothing but data, transfer nothing but communication between consumer and provider, or client and server, consumer or provider, or client and server. So you got to know what is representational state transfer. So representational state transfer, it has set of methods. Actually, you can see, if you want to communicate, right? If you want to communicate client and server, there is a set of methods are available. What is that? What are those? Get method, post method, put method, and delete method. Whenever client is sending response, whenever client sends a response, say request to the server, it can be either get request. It depends on the requirement. It can be either get request, it can be post request, it can be put request, it can be delete request, and there are some other options also there. Those I will explain later. So the main options are get request. These are all HTTP request, guys. What is get, post, put, and delete? Some people will ask you in interview, what is can you tell me, explain me HTTP methods. So you have to tell what are all the HTTP methods: get, post, put, and delete. You should answer these mainly basic HTTP methods. So I will explain you tomorrow what is get request, what is post request, what is put request, and what is delete request. Very, very easy, guys. If you know this concept, right? So now you can understand what is API. So here you can see in the controller what I have given. I just created one method. So I want to call this method. For example, one guy is real world example. I will tell you. One guy is walking on the road. So if I want to call him, if I want to talk to him, if I want to talk to him, what I have to do? I have to call him. Hi Suresh. He should have some name. If he has name, then you can call him, otherwise you cannot call. So similarly, same way, simply, this is one REST controller, the normal call. This is a class which is REST controller class. It has one simple method that is returning string hello spring boot application. So if you want to call this method, if you want to call this method, this method should have some name, then only you can call that method. So I am keeping that name as a hello world. If I want to call this method, I am defining a name as hello world. And what is that? This get mapping. So HTTP request is having different kinds of methods, right? Get mapping. So this is a read operation, what we can call just sending request, getting response back. So to perform read operations, we always will go with the get mapping. We have to use get request. You can say get request or get mapping. So I just defined my function name as a hello world. I just go to the browser and then call it as a HTTP is the address. What is this address? This server is deployed in my local machine, right? Local laptop, local machine. I have run our application is running in local machine. So if your application is running in local machine, so what is the name? It is local host. And what local host should followed with port number 8080 port number. You can see, so what is this port number? So so many people are having for example, this server is deployed in different kinds of servers. So each server should have one unique port number to identify their server. Unique port number, you can see. If you go to console, let me stop the server, let me run again. If you run again, you can see our server is running on default port. You can see our server is running on default port Tomcat server. There is a port is being displayed here. You can see 8080. That is the reason I am giving here 8080. Some people may ask, sir, why you have given 8080? Why it can't 9090 or something else? So currently my application is running on server, and my server port default port Tomcat default port is 8080. The default Tomcat server, you can see Tomcat initialized with port number 00. Tomcat is a server that needs to run on a server. Okay, so you can see here 8080 port. So in this server we can deploy our applications. Okay, so Spring Boot, what Spring Boot will do, we are not going to deploy the project. So Spring Boot itself will take care of it. So you can see the moment you run the server, our server is running on port number 8080. So now uh, you can go to the browser. You can see here localhost colon 8080, and the package the what name I have given to my method. What is the name I have given? Uh, where is that? Oh, it went down. You can see here what I have given here. Hello world. Hello world. Whenever it is coming like this, you can reset it. Right click, right side the corner. You just reset. Click on reset, so that your window will look good. Okay. So here I just specified the method, and I just name it as a hello world with the help of get mapping. And then I have just executed the server, run the server, go to the browser, click on the enter. You can see hello world Spring Boot application. So this is how you can create simple API, simple REST API in Spring Boot application. It's very easy, guys. So we'll continue tomorrow. So let me stop the recording.